Secret 2-0'd out Alliance, and that was the way the cookie crumbled for the winners bracket. And today we run through the entire lower bracket. But it's nice to have these two teams now leveled up against each other and starting off in comfort zone more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, the Night Stalker is a hero that's kind of been coming back to relevance, at least in this qualifier in the EU and the CIS region as well. I think actually in the other game that's being played in CIS, there actually is a Night Stalker as well. I think Navi picked it.
Yep.
But yeah, it's kind of coming back. I like it because it's highly mobile. Vision control is becoming really important. It's obviously a good counter against the Keeper of the Light. You know, that hero is going to build into Aghanims at some point. You turn it dark. You don't have that like god tier vision just everywhere with the gem, and it's kind of just, I think, mainly for that reason, but still really tanky hero, solid laning phase, low mana cost, high damage nuke, and the Invoker we've seen with the Centaur and the Keeper of the Light. Not really much to say. Those three heroes have just been picked like every single game.
I was also wondering too, because like flying over to the hub, I know Gareth and I were having a bit of a chin wag about it, and we were wondering, like, okay, so how do you counter Keeper of the Light? He was pegged as being one of the biggest. I was also wondering too, because like flying over to the hub, why don't you bring in the Night Stalker and remove that about it? At least and we were wondering, like, okay, so how do you counter Keeper of the Light? He was pegged as being one of the biggest. I was also wondering too, because like flying over to the hub, why don't you bring in the Night Stalker and remove that about it? Restricted vision as well.
I think it's the easiest to execute option 2. That's probably the main reason why Nip just decided to snap pick it is, you know, there's some heroes on paper theoretically that are good against him, like Storm, for example, but the hero is really weak laning phase, and then you have Nyx as well, which, you know, in the past people have used to carapace the blast, kill a mana burn, blah, blah. But the problem is, between those two heroes, like one of them has to close the gap, which is the Nyx, and the Storm has an easier time closing the gap, but he's very, very susceptible to having a bad laning phase. And in this meta, if you have a bad laning phase, you can just straight up lose the game before you even get a chance to come back. So Night Stalker's kind of throwing the blanket over it, just saying, okay, we'll cover our bases by just restricting the vision, making his life just generally harder without us having to really do anything special.
I was just wondering, though, if you wanted to do that in the first phase. Like, it moves away from what we're seeing Nip do frequently, which is the hero that just got banned out, the Ogre in that third position. Is it really worthwhile picking the NS up in the first phase, even to get all these wonderful things you're talking about?
Well, I do think that, in a way, it kind of replaces the Ogre, at least in my mind, because both of the heroes have substantial amounts of HP, high armor. I mean, sure, you don't have the Ignite, which is kind of the bread and butter of the Ogre outside of the Bloodlust. But you still have a relatively mana. Heroes have substantial amounts of HP, you can just high walk around. I mean, sure, you don't have the Ignite, which is kind of the bread and butter of the Ogre outside of the Bloodlust. If you're gonna pick, you still have a relatively mana. Heroes have substantial amounts of HP, and you can just high armor around. I mean, sure, you don't have the Ignite, which is kind of the bread and butter of the Ogre outside of the Bloodlust. But you still have a relatively mana. Heroes have substantial amounts of HP, and you can just high armor around. I mean, sure, you don't have the Ignite, which is
what they got. Like, Fada banned out the Alchemist.
Have a relatively mana. Heroes have substantial amounts, and you can just high armor around.
Yesterday, and they perfectly countered it. But to ban out the Timbersaw also in the first phase, I'm wondering if that was really essential from Bez, because it let through Koifer's Invoker, and Koifer didn't even hesitate for the Invoker pickup. Like, he knew he wanted that. And it was Koifer who was the primary one being targeted by Secret, and that's where Nip just looked like they completely lost their way. I was expecting a similar approach from Fada, but it never came.
I think the Timber ban is interesting. The Alchemist one I kind of get. You know, Koifa, if he gets his hands on a hero, or even Era, I mean, they both play it, right? But it's more a matter of, when you're playing an Alchemist game, or against an Alchemist, you're always kind of feeling like you're on that timer, and like you mentioned, Secret did a really good job of countering, but Secret is also the favorite to win the entire qualifier. So if you're feeling uncomfortable about playing against a specific hero, I think that Alchemist is probably one of the top, I would say, that you just ban out, because a fourth pick Alchemist or even a third pick Alchemist can totally throw a wrench into what your game plan actually is. And after having seen the support pairing that Bears pick up, like the Rubik and the Coddle, really bad against Alchemists. Like, you have literally no burst damage. So the more that they're picking, the more it just leads me to believe that Alchemist is more of a counter to what their plan is than necessarily maybe being, you know, scared of it just for the sake of it being an Alchemist.
It makes a lot of sense. I should also warn you, though, like, the burst damage expected to come out from Bears. This is something which they did, and they ran a Beastmaster Coddle duel offlane. Obviously, you can't do it this time around, but you still have the magical burst damage that comes in from the Centaur. But it's the control you get from Rubik who'll rotate off the safe lane, and then you hit him with Illuminate. You hit him with, obviously the target's in one position, so you hold him in telekinesis. Then the Fade Bolt, the Double Edge, the Hoof Stomp. It was almost impossible for the safe lane. I think it was Elements Pro Gaming they actually rammed that up against. And Elements were running a Juggernaut, and the Juggernaut was never able to spin away. It was actually brutal as hell. And then everyone from Elements had to rotate up to try and just negate the damage, save their safe lane.
Well, if they're gonna go for burst, they need to get it in their last 2. And I mean, they do have 2 core roles, so it's obviously dual support Rubik, Coddle, and then the Centaur in the off lane. The lineup that I'm kind of interested more in though is like Nip. This looks like a TI3 freaking draft, or maybe even TI2 for maybe even further blast from the past.
You've got the veterans in the game, man. It would fit for them.
The Shaker is just so weird to me. Like I get it against heroes like Centaur. You want something that's really intrusive, blocks pathing, stops Stampede from being such a nuisance during the team fights, because that's the main thing that people complain about, right? It's just like, okay, his laning phase is all right, but he can flash farm with a hood, and his ultimate is ridiculously good. That's the main thing. So Earthshaker to me is kind of like the answer to that in a way, and it also leads another hero who you can just kind of sit around with. You don't have to go in immediately. You can just bide your time, wait for bears to go in, and then you can always be the last one to counter initiate. And that's kind of the strength of the Shaker, I think, against Centaur. But bears, there's some burst damage. It's the Ember Spirit coming out. I'm not sure if they're going to go for the Veil build this game. They have some magic damage, I guess, between the Centaur and the Coddle Blast. But a lot of people have been deviating further and further away from that recently, and like rushing straight bots, and then going like I saw Envy the other day do like Yules instead of no wait, he did get Veil. He got both. He got Veil and Yules, yeah. So interested to see what he'll do.
Yeah, you talk about the Ember Spirit build, right? Because in Europe, I think I've seen more Maelstrom builds on the Ember Spirit than anything else.
And people seem to have their own ideas of how they want to play the hero nowadays. Before it was like everyone makes Veil every single game, no matter what.
Yeah.
Now it's okay, only make a Veil if you have other magical damage heroes.
It was the magical lockdown, right? Like it was I can just hold you in position, and as long as I can buff up my magical damage, that'll be my primary focus. Instead of the physical damage aspect, which we always had from Ember before 7.0.
Yeah, I'm always interested because Ember is one of those heroes where you can be super flashy on, and some people like to build for the burst, some people like to build for the control and flashy plays, so it's just a player preference, I think, a lot of the time.
Alright, we're coming down to our last pickups now, so we're missing the 1 positions for either side. Ninjas in Pyjamas, a team that does hover around with heroes like Naga. They're going to take out the Weaver, probably realizing that their lockdown control won't be perfect against him. Understandable.
Naga would actually be amazing for bears.
For bears?
Yeah.
When was the last time that we saw Fada really play Naga?
I don't know, but I'm just looking at Ninjas in Pyjamas draft, and I'm like, okay, if you pick Naga against those heroes, they have very limited catch. They would have to pressure super hard, and they have 4 heroes that can fight and push out lanes. Like, Ember Spirit pushes lanes, Coddle pushes lanes, Centaur pushes lanes, Naga pushes lanes. You look at Ninjas in Pyjamas, you're like, okay, where's their wave clear? How do you win against Naga with their heroes? But again, you're right. Fata, I don't think I've even ever seen him play Naga. Yeah. So they're obviously not going to pick it up here. They're going to just go for the Lifestealer. So the more aggressive choice, still fantastic, though, against what Nip are bringing to the table. They're almost entirely magic damage based. And they last banned the Ursa to protect their Lifestealer pick as well. So they don't even have to deal with the hardest of hard counters to their core.
There's one other hero which is being used as a counter to the Lifestealer, and that's the Troll Warlord. That's the
Troll would be, yeah.
That's the final one which probably Nip would turn to, because yeah, as you said, like they banned the counters to Lifestealer out pretty well. The Juggernaut is also the other safe lane in which Nip could have gone for, but it was banned out as well. Slark. And they go for aggression. They go for the Slark, the hunter of supports.
Slark is really good too. It becomes really scary for the Rubik and the Keeper of the Light during some point in this game, and you got these 2 strength heroes that want to sit in the middle of a fight. Well, against a Slark, if your supports die, and then you're just kind of left there, the Essence Shift stacks are just going to be flowing, and then eventually that Slark is going to be too much to handle. However, I would give Bears a slight advantage, I think, just because I like the aggression that their lineup can bring a little bit more. I think it would be more consistent, whereas I feel the Night Stalker kind of has to find his place in the game. It's kind of tricky. You walk around, you kind of act like a Pudge. You just pick up bounty runes, and then you just go places and throw like random voids on people. We'll have to see how it works against the Coddle.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it, man. This game one, remember, for everyone who is tuning in, we have all the European games coming up today. We will find out who will be the one and only team to represent Europe. So we start with this match, then we'll go through. The winner will play up against Alliance, and then the winner of that series will play against Secret. And the winner of that series goes to Kiev. So it could be a very long day for either of these teams if they want to go the whole way through. I know Bears are definitely planning on doing that. NIP would obviously have it on the cards as well, but Bears coming through was one of the favorites next to Team Secret. We're not expecting themselves to be in this situation.
Well, this is a bit of a change-up from what I was expecting. I actually kind of thought it would be a Trixie Shaker, but it's going to be Cinderin instead. I thought the Night Stalker might adopt more of the roaming role, but they're going to give him an actual lane. I guess against Lifestealer, potentially Coddle Rubik, still pretty annoying. Like, Mana Leak is just a thing, and Lifestealer excels in zoning melee strength offlaners just because of how Feast functions. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit difficult, I think, for Trixie. But all in all, if the game goes late, I think that NIP have a really good shot. Like, Slark synergy with Night Stalker is also great because, you know, Slark obviously has night vision, so
yep.
you get the benefit of that. 2 heroes that just have full night vision, restricting the Coddle's ability to, like, feel safe on the map. I think that's also a really, really important thing. So I'm expecting Era to just rush that Shadow Blade as soon as humanly possible and just look for kills.
The amount of times I've seen NIP actually have to give up this bounty rune that Forever is currently patrolling is unbelievable. And when they try and contest it, they lose so much life as well.
Well, I mean, they got a Slark level 1. You don't really want to contest a bounty rune with that.
It's just the fact that, like, their draft keeps putting them in this position. I don't have any, like, stats on it, certainly what I've been observing. But in the majority of games when they play Dire side, they only ever end up with 1 bounty rune, and it goes to Koitfa. Like, they protect them later on, just because, obviously, they were running Alchemist heroes, so they'd rotate a support over to protect the bounty rune, but they always miss the early ones.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a sacrifice you have to make. You know, they might not have gotten that bounty rune for the safe lane, but they get a fissure block on bottom lane, so Trixie will have a really, really good block. He'll probably get experience from the first 2 waves, and given the positioning of the supports on Bears, it looks like it's just going to be a strict 1v1, as NIP and Bears are both prioritizing mid in the off lane.
Synderin's having to be babysitting this middle lane. He actually got the fissure up, and he blocked Koitfa on the wrong side of the fissure. He blocked Fear on the right side of it, but that's the wrong side at the end of the day. Koitfa has to run up, and he may just have to trigger the Shrine as well. Yeah, he will. So already having to trigger off Shrine 1 minute in, that is not what he wanted to have to do.
I mean, that could have been worse, right?
Yeah,
I think if he had skilled level 1, if it was level 1 Searing Chains instead of Flame Guard, he probably would have died. But, you know, you kind of have to expect that Firo's going to skill, like, he's not going to block his own teammate, right? So.
Yeah. He was holding the point until the fight began. Yep, Fissure's down. Adam, very, very low. He'll turn for 1 quick Illuminate. That's going to hit pretty hard, but Synderin's already found the kill. Era and Hani trying to create space. Era salving up quickly. Synderin's got another Fissure in 2 seconds' time. If he can block him for Rev, no, everyone else has given up the chase. So Synderin just trying to physically harass the Centaur out of the lane. And maybe he'll pay for his life. Remember, he's still got that Fissure available, but 3 heroes moving on. YapzOr with the early rotation top. Almost playing the opposite role to Synderin with those early boots. It's Koitfa.
I think Koitfa's dead here.
Well, he can't
He's
salve
waiting out
this.
the salve. Oh, very nicely done by Firo.
He triggered the salve.
Oh, he actually used it.
He burnt the salve.
Oh no. Yeah. Like, so here's the problem with that situation, right? Actually, is anyone else gonna die? Seems like there's a lot of action going on. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. But
you're good, man. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah. The thing is, when you have level 1 Flame Guard, you can potentially get the salve off, but Firo wasn't auto-attacking him because he didn't want to lose distance. Because if you auto-attack once and then he salves, there's a potential that he walks away, because he didn't, like, at that point, he didn't have enough mana for another Searing Chains. So instead, he just walks next to him, knowing that Invoker is one of the slowest heroes, and then just waits for the last hit so that the salve can't be used, and he just wastes it anyway, which is really, really unfortunate. He walked in at tower range, and he got Searing Chains and took, like, 2 or 3 tower hits.
Koitfa's forced off the lane again. Just YapzOr being here. Like, it's a level 1 Rubik, and he's zoning out Koitfa. Unless they can catch him, Synderin's movement down is being scouted out. There's an Observer Ward already placed down. So YapzOr is very aware of the Earthshaker's positioning. Era seems to be having not as bad a time as I thought he would on the top, but he's not stopping the Centaur from finding CS.
I mean, he's also having to... He needs both the supports, though. That's the problem. Like, he can't really have Synderin or Hani leave, which means that, you know, a lot of the time the Crystal Maiden would want to just be AFK jungling, and maybe Synderin sits around, picks up the bounty rune between, like, you know, the tier 1 off lane and, like, his own tier 1, but they can't really leave.
Pick up, Telekinesis back, Searing Chains is available, but no one brought detection, so Koitfa having to burn 200 mana on the Ghost Walk, and he's stuck around. He'll still get Searing chained up. Synderen, the Fissure, just buying enough space to survive. Yapsor was looking to come further forward to get the attack into Koifa, but can't reach him and is too close to the tower.
Yeah, this is a really rough laning phase for NiP so far. They like 22 to 11 compared to 8 and 1 of Koifa. Like, sure, the Invoker is going to come back, and I know we've seen a handful of Invoker players kind of get pooped on in lane, but it's something that you definitely don't want to happen when you know that you have a hero like Slark on your team who really needs a little bit of space before he can function. You can't really have two heroes farming off map that are both cores and just have like your Crystal Maiden and Earthshaker hold the line. Like that's not really going to work.
Yeah. I'm still waiting to feel the effect of Trixie. Like, I know this is the early stages. He's just farming up and going one-on-one with an Ice Stalker, with a Life Stealer. That kind of effect is pretty nice, getting a long silence of a Life Stealer. But they still need to find the blood. Is it top? Synderen, he gets the block.
Good block.
Big. Forev has no way to cut free, so he just munched on the Tango. Looks for his regeneration with the Illuminate and the double edge. There's that magical burst damage. Air and Synderen just cannot deal with it. And it was a block from Synderen that was meant to be the perfect start. And now it's going to be Trixie who'll probably end up dying. They can't get the kill up on top. You pick him up into the open wounds. Trixie starts to TP, but there's more than enough damage here to kill him before that will complete.
That was a nice try with the TP, but just a little bit too much damage with the phase boots and the Blightstone on Fata. And they mid this middle lane.
Cold Snap. You don't want to get in close though. There's still the Flame Guard protecting the Earth Spirit, and Synderen's not a healthy man, so he comes in for the totem and then the hit, the damage. No, it's enough. It is enough. Koifa, last hit in.
Yeah, that was so needed as well. The really sad part there for Firo was he was one creep away from level 6, and he would have had mana to just remnant away at that point. So pretty unfortunate that he gets himself in that situation. They're not done yet though. Looks like they're smoked up going for bottom. Fata doesn't have enough mana to rage, but I'm not sure if they can kill him.
Synderen's still only got one fissure, even though he does have the arcane boots available. It breaks the observer ward up on the hillside. He came close enough that Rubik saw over the tree line. But as
Trixie's back here too.
He's a long way forward.
My god, just look at how badly the lanes are going for NiP right now. Like you said, the Slark was doing okay, and since you said he was doing okay, he has not hit another creep. Like it's just been like 13 CS and he hasn't gotten another one.
What's he meant to do? When he gets hit by the double edge and the Illuminate, he basically gets pushed out of the lane and then rotates down to the bottom lane to try and find a gank. Middle lane, this is going to be a better gank for them. Again, utilizing the Cold Snap, the long silence as well from Trixie. You'll still be able to spirit up to the hillside. But Trixie's got the movement speed, but not the mana. He only just got the mana for another Void, which will allow Fear the time to get back behind his tier 1 tower.
Oh god, how do they salvage this? I'm like just thinking of ways that they can kind of come back, but you look at their lineup and there's not really that big team fight potential. Sure, 5-man, you got a couple of disables, which is nice.
It's gonna be Trixie rotation, right? Like moments like this, coming back for the mid lane, you should know all of your spirits are down. So Firo just can't get away from this one. Keep the long silence going. Okay, maybe they're not all down. One down in the tree line.
You had the one left and that's all you need. It's just so much of a commitment as well. Like they're sending, you know, 3 or 4 heroes walking towards that middle lane, and somewhere on the map, Era's just sitting there going, well, I can't really hit any creeps. And this is the main weakness of a Slark, right? Like his laning phase is notoriously bad. Yeah. It doesn't matter what he's laning against, he's gonna struggle.
Honey's going to find Forev. They still have Rubik up in the lane, but they're going to focus on the Centaur. Now, he's freshly level 6, so Stampede will be available if only he had an ability. Oh, the Fissure! It comes just in time from Synderen, so Forev has to trigger the ultimate. Synderen was going to cut him up for the pass, so Forev has to make a break for the tree lines. One more Void will do it, and Trixie will ensure the kill on the offlaner. That's the #1 CSer they just killed off, and it's the offlane Centaur.
Yeah, it's a big kill. It's a big kill for sure. Stopping the hood from coming out a little bit faster, and then after that it's going to be the blink dagger. I'm not sure if, I mean, the hood is really solid on Centaur when you're having a good start because it just allows you to flash farm with double edge. It's a really nice synergy. But at the same time, if he just had a blink and the lifestealer just infests him, what the heck would NiP do? Like, how would they actually do anything? They would just lose like all their tier 1 straight up. So this is maybe one of the few times where I would look at the hood and I would say, yeah, okay, it's still a good choice. But I think maybe just the naked blink would do even more in this game.
It might also be displaying just the tense nature you feel when you play an elimination match like this. Like, you got 3 elimination matches to get through in order to actually reach Kiev. So you take no risks. Your 3 top net worth heroes right now all belong to Bears. It's a very safety kind of first approach.
I mean, with the lane advantage that they have, it probably won't make a big difference in the grand scheme of things. But the way that Nip gets back into the game is by being given space. You know, space for Era to get his farm, space for Synderen to pick up a Blink Dagger. Quakefest still doesn't even have his Midas yet, and I know it's only 9 minutes, but he's got 27 CS, Toby.
Yeah.
That's like half of what you want at this stage in the game.
And that Midas is about 2 minutes behind. Harney's letting the ulti go. The Fissure from Synderen. Keeping the Centaur close, but not close enough. They're still 1k HP. They're trying to get through with a Night Stalker, CM, and ES.
The Hood, man. It pays for itself. He actually had the barrier block active for that, so it's 325 additional effective HP on top of the magic damage that they were dealing to him, which, as we already said, it's a lineup that pretty much only does magic damage until the Invoker and the Slark are online.
Yep. And that's still going to take some time. But at least the Invoker could sometimes get a little bit more damage early on. With the early points you get up in Wex, like Alacrity becomes more of a useful ability.
Which is interesting, because if you look at Quakefest skill build, he's actually opted to put 3 points into Wex this early. That is more than normal, to say the least. I'm kind of wondering what the idea is.
The 40 and the 55?
I mean, I'm thinking that it's like he wants a better tornado? I don't know, honestly. Maybe he feels like there's going to be a lot of aggression and he just wants to play a little bit more controlled and damage.
It's possible. Right now, I think his only intention is to farm. This is Koifa we're talking about.
Oh, I mean, he definitely wants to hit creeps, and I know Wex does scale the attack speed of Alacrity a decent amount, but most of the time you just see like the full Exort because Sunstrike.
Yeah.
Although with as passive as Nip are playing this, yeah, maybe they just don't care about Sunstrikes because they're not going for kills unless it's nighttime.
Oh, Fada's coming up for a kill. Smoking, gonna run in behind the tier 1 tower. Era is close. And he's regenerating at the moment. He's not ready to fight. Harney, a quick frostbite. Rage will break Fada free, and they're just going on the Invoker. Make sure he's controlled. Make sure he's shut down, and then they can beat a little bit more damage into the tier 1, and maybe even take it with the Blightstone on the Lifestealer.
I got it now, Toby. I know why he's getting the Wex. It's that Ghost Walk run speed. That's what he needs to get away.
It's pure defensive. All right, Yapsol's in trouble. Era jumps in. Harney. He's shown himself to be very, very liberal with the freezing field, and he lives up to the reputation of the group stage.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, his build, actually, because a lot of the time, you know, Crystal Maiden players, not so good ink gain on that hero, and if you try to use Crystal Nova, Frostbite, and your ult, some of the time, if you don't have the proper stat items, you just don't have mana to ult. And he just said, I'm not going to skill Crystal Nova. That's it. Like, I just can't actually use both of my normal skills and my ultimate together yet.
This cuddle play is so... I want to say cheap, but I'm going to say effective.
Is there any other coddle play, Toby? Like, I'm on a level with you here. It's all cheese. Like, I hate playing against coddles. It's awful.
Well, that's because he never has to come close to the engagement. He fires the missile of light from a very long distance away, and never has to put himself in harm's way. And because he can do this, hey, look at him. He's gone movement speed with the Wind Lace and the Tranquil Boots, and then everything else is about building up into the Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah, he's a freaking race car. He might be in trouble, though.
Yep, until Era misses the pounds. Harney will get the Frostbite off. Remember, that is level 4, so it was a long hold time. And Era, if he could commit Shadow Dance, there's no one else coming down here. He probably could have just regenerated it off, but minute cooldown,
Better safe than sorry. I mean, they've had such a rocky laning phase that it's not really that long of a cooldown anyway. It's just a minute. I mean, it's the risk of, okay, we don't exactly know where they are just yet. That was before all the heroes of Bears were showing in the top lane, and they just said, we want to make sure we get this no risk to our Slark, because that's the one hero that really can't die. Like, Koifa dies once or twice, he's got a Midas, he can kind of recover, but the Slark cannot die.
Oh, for now, they're not... Actually, we do see a TP. Fada's the first one coming in. He's making a break for Koifa. Era wants the tower. He's still got 14 seconds left on that ultimate. And the denial, Yapsol picks him up, throws him down. And Era, they'll lose out the money. Now Frostbite's even stolen. Honey's going to let the ulti go, but all of Bears, they're basically backed up apart from Fana, who stays on the front lines, attacking into the Nine Stalker. Now they move towards Era. His ulti is back off cooldown, starts to run back out, but the bigger problem is Koifa. He's left behind once again, so Koifa will die. Cinderin died solo to Firo in the meantime up on the top lane. So they lose 3 in total and have the tier 1 tower denied on bottom.
It's not getting any easier for Nip. I mean, they've actually made a couple of nice moves, and I think if they had another... See, this is the problem. They wanted something that was good against Lifestealer, but they picked a hero that was good against Lifestealer and potentially the supports of Bears once you have items. But the problem is you need to get to those items before your hero becomes effective against any of the heroes on their team. And this actually happens quite a bit in Dota. You have this idea in your head where you think, oh, okay, you know, 25 minutes in, my Slark's going to have Echo Saber and a Shadow Blade and maybe half of a BKB. And it's 14 minutes in, and Era's got Treads and an Aquila. He's like 5+ minutes behind where he needs to be on his farm rate, and it's not really his fault. It's just that that's the nature of the hero. So again, Nip, they need time.
But how do you buy it? As you said, they don't have the counter push. You can fissure block up as much as you want to.
Well, Cinderin's halfway to Blink. That's the starting point, right? You get halfway to Blink. Although he did go for the max fissure build, so it's not even like. I guess 2 or 3 Aftershock might just have to do in this case. Like, if you're having a really good game, you probably max Aftershock.
Oh, they found the Keeper of the Light. Finally, some kind of bonus here. The Sunstrike's kicking in. Might have been better to leave that last hit to the Invoker, because he's still so far behind. But Trixie will take it, and it works more towards his Aghanim Scepter.
Beggars can't be choosers in this match, Toby. You got to take the kill. You can't wait for that.
I'm still wondering, like, who gets the critical item that gets you ahead? Like, if Koifa gets an early Blink Dagger, maybe that's his way of at least dodging or getting better positioning in the fights with Bears.
Like, he may go for something defensive like a Yule's or a Force Staff.
Oh, jump forward. Era, he gets a Shadow Dance off. He was so low, triggering off the Shrine. Now the question is, do you have enough to fight? Trixie was thrown around. They get the leash. It's over on Centaur. He can't stampede away from that one. And again, the glorious Hani. And real Crystal Maidens, they do channel full.
Man, I don't even mind that he did that. Again, it's just realizing the position that you're in. How often are you going to be able to realistically channel that spell anyway? Like, Rubik can steal it. There's Searing Chains, there's Stampede, like...
The cooldown is... Like, the cooldown's not that long, it's fine. And it's a message.
Yeah.
It's the message from NIP. Right? Just remember this is our side of the river.
Honey's just saying, look, if you fight, I'm gonna ult. That's how it works. Remember that.
Oh. And then they just wait out the rest of the time. This brings Cinderin, quite far.
Solo death again. Yeah, he has his own dust. That's actually something that you kind of should expect, I guess, but it's really hard to avoid because Firo has the Boots of Travel as well, and he can just remnant forward on you, and you have no defensive item. That's kind of why I thought he might go Yules this game, because the Ember can just so easily solo kill you when you go for like this naked Aghanims build. But at the same time, it's also something to where you need your spells to be their most effective. He just has to be a little bit more careful.
They're coming to fight again. Cinderin sees the Absol coming. He has to fissure block it out. There's just no other choice but Firo. Does he Spirit commit up the hill? If he does, no, he actually Searing Chain. He tried to slide a fist, but wasn't close enough.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And Era's on the run again. He may have to Shadow Dance for this. Yeah, he will.
Yeah, he's alright. That's really frustrating to not be able to just sit in a lane as Slark and hit creeps. And it's actually good on Fata for being the one who's like sitting over there realizing, okay, my team as 4 is still really strong. I could go for the Infest, but you know, keeping the Slark down is still kind of priority number 1 for Bears.
So, keeping Slark down, like, they're keeping him constrained. I'm watching Adam just own this middle lane. He was standing maybe 600, 700 units from NIP that's in the tree line, throwing out Illuminates, and there's nothing that NIP could do about it, because they don't have any vision. They're being backed up. The Observer, what they have placed, is currently watching around the bottom rune area, and as far as vision goes, I think that's actually their only one. Everything else is a creep wave.
Yeah.
That's all that gives them the vision on the map. And it's a smoke maneuver again from Bears. For Rev and Yamsol, the only ones caught inside of it. And then Defensive Spirit for the Ember, who's now pushing in the top lane. Aggressive horde, but they found a better target. It's going to be the Crystal Maiden. The Fissure is out, and maybe she can. No, she can't survive. A quick Frostbite, lets the ulti go, ends up actually giving over the freezing field to the Rubik. Now Trixie starts his TP out. The damage, it's going to be enough with the Hoofstomp arriving too. Fada has the double kill. Koifa will join him as well. One last runner. Synderen starts his TP in perfect vision of the Radiant creep wave, but there's nothing else that gets Bears there in time. But they don't care. They're coming for the tier 2.
That was a really nice play, actually, by Fata and Synderen. So, at the start of the fight, you saw they initiated on the Crystal Maiden. They get the kill straight away. Instead of Fata just hopping out and claiming the free Crystal Maiden, he baits the other heroes of Nip to try to save because they think for a second, okay, the Lifestealer didn't jump out, maybe he's just not there. And then he comes out and he gets another bonus kill instead. So instead of just getting the one, they get more. Era's being forced away in the middle lane as well, and they do claim that off lane tier 2 tower. So I'm struggling to find ways where Nip are going to be able to kind of create this space that they need still. The blink is great. That's actually, yeah, that's one thing that they can look to and say, all right, maybe we can win a fight with this.
You kind of just smoke up for it. At least got the 3 points now up in the Aftershock. But how do you get close? The nighttime from Trixie, he triggers off darkness, so the vision for the Radiant side is rather restrictive. Again, they only have that one observer ward themselves on the dire side of the river, but Fada chasing up after Era. But Synderen must remain hidden. He's their ace up the sleeve.
Yeah, they can't reveal the blink unless it gets kills. That's the main thing. The Night Stalker vision restriction will help a lot, like you mentioned. The heroes are still so tanky though. Like even it's a level 1 Echo.
It's the stun into the Invoker combo, right? Like that's the only thing you're looking to do.
You're gonna need the bonus damage from the Invoker, which again is probably why he opted to just go straight for the Aghanims. Like this is a pretty bread and butter Invoker build. But the difference is that he's really behind with it. And it's kind of a struggle to play with it from behind because you have no innate escape mechanism anymore. And you got to expect, you know, Bears are always going to be carrying dust. And that's why he kind of unexpectedly died 2 times across the map.
They're coming top. Nippon in position for this. For Rev, he's going to miss the Hoofstomp, however. But there's still a fair chunk of Bears up on this top lane.
Yeah, this is a fairly big kind of power spike here for Nip. They have the Aghanims on the Invoker, they have the Blink Shaker. Scan's gonna hit.
Out. Nip's movement is perfectly revealed. Synderen's still trying to hide as far away from the vision as possible. But this will only last for so long, and Era can also ping the fact that there is vision right on top of him. He's actually carrying his own sentry wards now.
Yeah, they were pulled to him by Hani, so he's got the de-warding on lockdown.
It's just the only way they can do it, because Hani can't go out there. Hani has to stay at the back lines. He's still hoping he doesn't die, and eventually he'll be able to tick up to the point where he can buy that 4-staff.
Oh, they're going for the desperation smoke here. I mean, they're smoking basically no vision, but I guess Hani, he's got he's got 2 wards on him. They want to get vision. They want to try to use their Blink Dagger Shaker. They cannot go for Roche. Their team is so bad at killing Roshan.
The scan hasn't hit, but the Illuminate will. And now with a jump forward, Trixie instantly exploded. The blinding light will force NIP away, but with the surge, they jump forward from the back of the Stampede. Hani lets the ulti go. The stolen fissure of Yapsor. He'll end up cancelling it. So Hani on the run, but Manalik, he'll stun himself up. And I'm fairly certain there's an edge with 2 sides this way and just split him in twine. He makes a break for the tree line, but nope, there she blows. They give it to the Keeper of the Light. And that actually completes up his Aghanim Scepter as well because he got that kill.
That is not the blink reveal you want. I mean, sure, it was kind of like Trixie, Hail Mary, running up into the high ground. Probably should have waited for the ward placement or whatever, but he's the tankiest hero pretty much on the team, so he kind of has to do that to a certain degree. But man, that is rough, because now they're going to lose Roshan on top of this with the Deso and the Echo Saber on Fata. They got more than enough damage to finish us off. The only kind of silver lining is, again, they can't really abuse the sustain capability of the Keeper of the Light, just because there's a Night Stalker on the other team. So when daytime comes around, normally I would just say, you know, that's game. They're going to walk down mid, they're going to pretty much be unkillable because of Adam's just Illuminate Blast, but without the use of that and having to deal with the nighttime, it could actually hold them off.
And welcome to trial time. Koifa, you can push in the top lane all you want, but it's the mid-tier 2 tower Bears are now eyeing off. Synderen still has his Blink Echo. It's a level 2. Frostbite up the Ember, hold him in position. Need a little bit more help. Yapsor's going to jump forward. There's your first little fissure. Synderen still wondering if this is the time. He doesn't have a creep wave, so jumping in on this will be a bit of a waste, but he's going to lose his life anyway. never really the perfect opportunity just to let rip. And that means Bears take 2 heroes, including the Vision and the team fight initiator. And they look to the tier 3 tower.
Now this is one of the big issues with Shaker, is like, you get so much pressure put on you in way of getting the good echo when you're this far behind, that the good echo just never comes, because every single hero on the side of Bears is too farmed to warrant using a solo echo on, maybe outside of maybe Firo, like if his flame guard's down. And no one else has to really group up. The only people who are going to be next to each other and Fata and Forev, and those are the 2 tankiest on the team by a long shot. So your echo might not even be enough.
Even tankier when you can't force out the nighttime. Echo slam forward, they're going for the live seal with the 4-star, pushes him out of range. Fata will dodge the Sunstrike, the EMP will burn off a large amount of mana, but you see how low he dropped. They had the chance, but the Sunstrike needed to connect. Trixie still on the run, wants Yapsaw, goes for the Void. Rubik stunned up and will be brought down. Hani will find that kill with a cheeky Nova. So they get something, but they commit their big abilities.
That Rubik was worth 430 gold. Like, if they can get a tier 1 off of this, I would say that the echo expenditure is worth it. I mean, heck, even just getting them off their side of the map is kind of the silver lining in this situation, because again, Era still struggling to even finish up a Shadow Blade. He just has an Echo Saber. That's it. I mean, sure, I guess he's a bit more than halfway to the Shadow Blade now, but by the time he gets it, there's going to be like a gem. Yeah, he just bought it. There's going to be a gem and an Aghanims on Coddle, so good luck getting into the team fight. Pretty much all he's going to be able to do with that item is split push until he has a BKB.
Life is not going to be enjoyable. Unless the nighttime just allows him, because remember, if it is going to be that nighttime, but Trixie, he's the man that had to stay alive. He's 1,400 gold away from the Aghanim Scepter. Now, after that.
Yeah, it's an uphill climb, Toby. We'll call it that.
Do they go for this Ember? They wait for the Fissure timing. Cinder will blink for the follow-up stun and the Sunstrike. Firo is going to burn. But meanwhile, in middle lane, Forever's attacking the tower. They might better hold him there, but Yapsaw's jumped in deeper, and they found another target. It's going to be the poor Crystal Maiden. The Ember Spirit's still alive, and they're all coming back to help. But remember, the Ember Spirit can just be recalled in by Adam. So it won't take it much to do this. A 3-man tornado, but it's minimal level. 1 point up in the core, so they don't hang up in the air for very long, and they jump in again. Yapsaw with a Soul and Totem. Again, not what he's looking for, but they kill off Koifa. That's what they want. Almost a full minute without the Invoker. And they can go for 2 lanes of Rax if they want it. Echo Slam, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Syndrome, this could be a moment. Jump in right there if you can do it. The Blink Dagger's available, but it's already too late. Trixie is down. Era is retreating back towards the tier 4 towers. Spirit out and back in. Firo with the slow motion Deathway into killing off the Slark. They just don't feel the moment. Ninjas in Pyjamas, and they don't feel their mid-racks. Like a limb, it's been severed.
I don't know like how the Night Stalker was supposed to really do anything in this game, and it's not really Trixie's fault, but it's just put in a position where there's a lot of pressure on you to do stuff, because both your supports are pretty much glued to the top lane. You know, a couple of fissures came out towards mid. One of them actually almost killed his own mid player, and then you got like Fata free farming. The Centaur had like the highest CS in the first 10 minutes of the game, and no one is really on the... Oh, he's dead. Yeah.
It was 6 seconds until Slark was back up. It really is. Like right now, Bez, they still have the tier 2 tower up on top lane, so they can't just force Megas. So more than likely it's back up, but NIP will admit defeat. 27 minutes is all it really took. And Ninjas in Pyjamas, no, there is no hope in this game.
I'm not really feeling the Night Stalker Earthshaker together. Like those 2 heroes just feel really clunky to me when they're run in a duo. Like, if you want to run one or the other, it's actually, I think, okay. But you need some other, like, more reliable hero that's going to actually get you kills and be able to apply pressure during the mid-game, because just the night pressure or having, like, the vision restriction didn't really do anything to Bears. They didn't mind because their heroes were just stronger in lane. So you don't have to worry about not being able to see when you just know that you're strong. There's nothing to be scared of. Like, there were a couple of picks, and Nip actually had the kill advantage for like 15 minutes, but even during that time, Bears, all 3 of their cores, complete free farm. Adam managed to finish up an Aghanims and grab a gem before the 25-minute mark. Like,